Good morning, Mrs. Pestonjee. Great
Morning.
honor to have you on our program, The Business Detective. Can I begin by asking you how you began your journey and why you got into business?
All right. Let me tell you, I started my business when Sri Lanka was a closed economy. There was nothing like what you see now, the appliances that help you to get your work done faster. I was a young housewife with 3 young children and no time for myself because washing had to be done by hand, polishing had to be done by hand, everything had to be done by hand. And there was no time for leisure or sitting back as you know, when you have 3 small children, 1.5 years apart, it's very difficult throughout the day. So I looked around and I thought, other Sri Lankan housewives also going through this same thing that I have every day, the same old thing, washing clothes, cooking, doing everything that a housewife has to do. So I thought I must do something better for the Sri Lankan housewives. So I looked around and started purchasing goods from Sri Lankans who came from abroad, who brought appliances. Then I also had another source, the embassies. The embassies had their yearly electrical items up for sale at auctions. So I used to go and purchase about 20 washing machines and keep about 2 for spare parts because I put it in my little shop at Colombo 4. And I gave my customers a guarantee also because I felt that if I had taken their good money, I should be there if there's anything, if there were repairs to be undertaken, that we should do that. So that's how I started. And the business was all right and I was getting along fine. But then the open economy came in. And with the open economy, it was quite a different business. And I knew if I didn't import and get the popular British brands, the British brands are the ones like Hoover, Belling, Electrolux. They were the ones that was popular with our Sri Lankans. So I knew if I didn't import those brands, I would be in trouble and I would have to close down my business. So I started writing to the various agents. The agencies were held by big companies, British companies, and they were not willing to export to me. But I kept on writing because I'm a very persistent person. I kept on writing, and the first agent who came down was Electrolux. He came and he saw me. I invited him and I said, just see the business I'm carrying out. It's a small business and you can see what I'm doing. So I took him to my little shop in Colombo 4. And also I took him to my home where I had my service, which was in the garage in my home. So he looked around, smiled, he went back and he said, all right, I'll give you the Electrolux agency. So that was my first international agency. And after that, I followed, all the others followed, Belling, Hoover, Pyrex, Corning, all the British brands, I was able to secure and market it. Well, that is how. Is there anything else?
Yeah. So how did you get hold of the Korean brands?
Korean brands. Actually, my son Tito he's an engineer, and he was on the ship, and he told me, "Mom, just go over to Korea and see because they are coming up in home appliances." So I went over to it was Gold Star The Korean brand was Gold Star at that time. And they had at their office in the Hilton Hotel. So I went over there and I said that I would like to import your items and would you export it to me? So they said, not under Gold Star. We can give it to you in another brand. I said, no, I don't want it under any other brand than Gold Star because I don't want to market, I want a brand. So he said, all right, you try. I will give you only the refrigerators. I said, all right. So we got the Gold Star agency and we marketed it well. And that's how I got the agency. But a few years later, I think their chairman thought that they have to get the Gold Star and make it LG. So I had already made Gold Star popular, and it was a difficult task again getting the consumers to accept the LG brand because they came back and said, is LG broke or what is it? Why is it that is Gold Star broke or what has happened? I said, no, it's not that. It's just a name change. And we are there. Abans is always there to service you all. So actually people at the start, Sri Lankans were not happy buying Korean because they used to say Korea and they were not, so they used to come to my main showroom, look around and ask me whether I didn't have the other goods, the other brands. So I said, look, I said, this is a brand, it's a good brand and it's backed by Abans service. So we guarantee that we will give you a good service. So that's how the brand came.
Okay. Mrs. Pestonjee, at that time, was it easy to get capital from the banks?
No, I wanted to tell you, it was very difficult. The banks didn't want to give, and especially a small business like mine. So it was very difficult. So, but I started going to Bank of Ceylon. My husband knew, he was doing a paper business, so he knew some of them in Bank of Ceylon. And they started letting me open small LCs. So I used to go to the bank, sit down there and get them to open the LC to make sure that they would open the LC. And that's how they started. And I made sure when I opened the LC that I would give them, we used to do it on trust receipts to see that we paid the bank in time. So my business started to grow then.
Okay. How was it easy hiring good people also there?
Yes, at that time it was easy, but I didn't have many people at that time because my business was small, and I didn't find I started hiring people, and many of the people are still working for me. Some of them, the person I started the business with was one Alan Raffle. He was a technician, and with him, I used to check the goods, and he used to be there. And then later on, he headed the service department. So.
Okay. Now, Mr. Pestonjee, how did you create this household brand name Abans? Because everybody knows this name now.
It was not only me, it was also my family and all the other loyal people who are working with us for a number of years, who saw that the brand was kept alive. And I was very keen on keeping a good brand name because I felt that if I started a business, I wanted the people's trust, and I didn't want to take their money and just sit back and think, okay, right, I've got the brand and now it is all right and we can go ahead. But it is careful planning every day, even up to now. It's every day there's some problems that you have to solve to keep the brand alive and to keep the business.
Okay. But what are the business values and ethics that drive your enterprises?
Honesty, hard work, and persistence.
Okay. One of the biggest challenges most companies have is customer service. How have you addressed this issue? Because your enterprise has become very big now, unlike in the past.
Customer service to satisfy all customers, to be really honest, is very difficult, but we try our best, especially just now with the COVID going on. It's a really hard task because customers complain, they're at home, they're frustrated. So we have to deal with that too.
Okay. What are some of the challenges you have faced in your journey as a businesswoman?
The challenge I told you, when from a closed economy, we went into an open economy. And I was a small company with no resources, no proper resources. I had to face, I had the big companies, and I was not able to, I wanted to secure good agencies, like I said, the British brands. That was the most challenging time I had. And I got out of it, and we did well from then onwards.
Okay. Now you got into a business, at a time when it was male dominated. How was the acceptance and all that at that time?
Well, I must say it was a male dominated area, place, business, but I never had any problems, because if they saw that you knew what you were doing and you were equal there, I think in fact they used to be quite supportive for the business, to do the business. So I never had, I have this, I'm always constantly asked whether you had problems with male dominated in a male dominated area, but I must tell you I never had that. They were quite supportive.
Okay. Your business has now actually moved out of the white goods industry as well. You have a finance company, you have started a hotel, apartments. What more are you planning to add into this group?
Well, now I'm leaving it to my children and my third generation, my grandchildren, to get on with what is supposed to be done from now onwards. And the planning and all is mostly, they undertake most of it. And I guide them sometimes. And that's how it is right now.
Okay. What advice would you give a young businesswoman who's just starting off?
A young businesswoman who's just starting off, I would advise that you should think what you are really interested in. What would you like to do? Would you like to do? It can be anything. It can be landscaping. You can do cooking, anything. But you have to choose a career that you are interested in. If you choose a career that you're not interested in and only think that you are going to make some money out of it, I don't think it would succeed. It's something that you want to do for others, which you want to make other lives happier. I think I would ask the young ladies who are now going into business to choose what they would like to do and go on that path.
Okay. The country has seen many challenges, right? What are some of your frustrations and what are some of the good things you like to see going forward?
Well, I think changes that are constantly thrust upon the business world is very difficult for the business world to adjust. And that is happening quite often. I was speaking to some foreign people, and they were saying that nothing is constant, and they were doing business outside in India. And I said, what do you mean? I said, there in India, it's much more difficult. He said, no, in India, if we start something, we are able to go through with it. But here, it constantly changes. So I think that's something that we should look into.
Okay. My final question to you, Mrs. Pestonjee, is how do you like to be remembered finally?
I haven't thought of that. I just want
your legacy. Your legacy.
I really haven't thought about that, Dinesh. I'm okay with what people think about me right now. I'm always telling my children, my grandchildren, that I have three things: honesty, hard work, and perseverance, which I have followed throughout the years. And I think they should follow the same. And that's how I would think. And that I would also advise people who are starting business, who are doing business, to follow those principles. Maybe it will help.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Pestonjee. Great talking to you.
Welcome. Welcome.